Welcome back to the Canadian Bowler channel. My name is Darryl. I am 1/3 of the hosting trio of the Canadian Bowler podcast. I am a certified performance coach, and I want to welcome you to Technical Difficulties, the video series where we teach you all things bowls, from how to deliver, skills, tips and tricks, and how to execute your game effectively. Today we're going to be talking about two hotly requested topics: point of aim and weight control. Let's kick it off with point of aim. Point of aim. It's a concept that some people struggle with, but there's actually some simple solutions to help you understand how your bowl reacts and how to pick your point of aim. Your point of aim is not the jack or the center line. Your point of aim is the target that you are rolling your bowl towards. Now, as we know, your bowl will go out straight, and then at a point, will break towards the center. So your point of aim is that first line that you are going to roll along. Your bowl will do the rest. For beginners, I always teach them to look for something on the bank or beyond. Now at this club here, we have a couple markers. We could do the yellow boundary markers. We could do the sunshade leg posts. We could do the fence in the background if we really need to. And then there's some other markers like other numbers, the number 13 or the number 11. These are points that you can use that won't move. Boundary markers won't move during the game. They will stay static. Number markers should stay the same during the whole game. Benches won't move. Fences won't move. What you want to avoid is picking something like a pair of shoes, a bowl that's on the bank, a bowls bag, for instance. These are items that people can just pick up and walk away with, and then you've lost your target and need to start again at finding your line. Now, to start finding your line, in Canada, because our greens tend to be somewhat wide, but not as wide as, say, Southern Hemisphere or 15-second plus greens. So at this club, I would always recommend for people to start with the boundary markers, the two yellow markers at the edge of your rink. This will give you a good gauge as to whether you have a wide rink or a narrow rink, and whether each side reacts the same. From those points, you can then adjust. Did I miss my center by a foot? Well, then I can adjust a couple inches inside and see if that will make the difference. But you'll always have a static starting point to work from. Now, the idea of point of aim is that if I'm using that yellow boundary marker, you can see from what I've set up, I've got orange dots that are relatively in line with that yellow marker. I want to be able to roll my bowl straight out along those orange dots towards that yellow marker and let the bowl do the work coming in. So my focus is yellow marker. I want to focus all my attention on that yellow marker. And I will roll directly towards it. And as the bowl slows down, it will go towards the center. But I've done nothing to try to guide it towards center. I'm throwing it straight out towards that yellow mark. That's for beginners. Obviously, during my delivery video, I told everybody not to have their neck up, but to have it in line so you're actually looking somewhat down. The reason why I don't stick with that method is because if I'm staring straight at that yellow marker or the bench or the fence post, my neck is going to be up because I'm looking straight up, and I have to keep my head up to do that. This is great for beginners because it gives them one focal point, you get them rolling along that line, and once they get good at that, now we can move on to something a little more advanced that will take some mental training to do. And what that is exactly what these orange dots are meant to do. I want to be able to draw my line from that yellow marker down to the first orange marker, down to the second orange marker, down to the third orange marker. If I can train myself to focus on points in the green that are still on my line, then my head is down, my focus is clear, my body is ready to deliver a good bowl instead of having my neck up. And the idea is the same. I take my yellow marker and I draw down to that first orange marker, and I want to roll directly along that. Now that one, I missed my line. And as you can see, I missed my line inside, my bowl went inside. And that's a perfect example of how we have to focus and concentrate on getting our arm out along that point of aim and focus on getting our bowl along that straight line. It's easy to miss by an inch outside and an inch inside. Sometimes when you are focusing on where you're rolling your bowl, you're not doing a perfect line down and things can happen. That's why something like this is excellent for training. Learn to draw from your static point down onto the green and down a little bit further. The other great thing about this point of aim delivery drill is that it can be used for weight control as well. Now, weight control is a really interesting subject. You will hear a lot of people talk about bigger backswing, bigger step, stand up really tall, or get down really low. And this is to adjust how much force you're using to get the bowl down the green. You want to increase your force and put everything into it. Bigger backswing, bigger follow through, bigger step out, putting a lot more weight into it. Stand up straight and put everything into it. And then when you want to take off weight, they'll say, take a smaller step. Don't go back as far. Don't follow through as much. So you'll see a lot of people when they want to hold up, go stunt their follow through or really give that shotgun approach where it's like bang, because they don't want to put as much into it. These are all pseudo skills that people pick up because they don't really help in the long run. These may help in a sticky situation. You're in a ton of rain, you can't get your bowl up the green, and you're just heaving it. It's not really a skill. It's just something that you're doing to try to remedy that issue right then, right there. When you want to practice and understand how to increase your weight or how to take weight off, set up your line drill again, just like this. And understand that you don't want to change anything in your good delivery. Now, your good delivery, obviously, good grip, good stance. I bend my knees. I don't want to go too low or too high. I just want to be right in the middle. I've got my point of aim, which is right along those dots. And my release and my follow through are not going to change that much. That's a slow one. That might be a heavy one. But the idea is, I want to train my mind to do the difference based on where I pick my point of aim. And this is where this drill comes in really handy. I want to throw a minimum length bowl. The jack's on minimum length. I want to throw a minimum length bowl. I don't want to be looking straight down to that yellow marker, because mentally I want to reach that yellow marker. I don't want to be that farther orange one because it's past my target, and again, I'm still trying to roll through that marker. What I really want to do is draw my line about halfway between where I am and where I want to be, because I want to throw through that dot, and that's my apex. So I throw to the dot, and as it goes through the dot, it breaks, and goes towards my target. We're looking at 50% here and 50% there. Certain bowls makes will differ, so you're gonna have to play with it based on if you're using something like a Lignoid versus a Tiger versus something like a Dreamline XG or a Laser, because the breaking points and what they do as far as line will differ from make to model. But using mine, I'm gonna gauge 50-50, and I can make my adjustments to push out or push in from there. Minimum length jack, I'm gonna aim to get my bowl just over that first mark. If I do that, it should break in to minimum length. Might be a little short, could be a little long, but as I'm training, I can adjust my dots to get to the perfect length, and I can train from there. I want to get T to T. Well, then I want to choose a farther point to look at, because what I want to do is I want to get my bowl through that dot or through that point of aim, so it hits that point and then breaks from there, and it's farther down the green. And I'm training my brain to understand the effort it takes for me to get from here to that dot. Straight. Without my bowl breaking, I get straight to that dot. Now mine broke a little early, so it's not gonna be all the way, but that's okay. That's what drills are for. But the concept is simple. I train my body to look further and further down the rink the more distance I need. And I'm thinking to myself, I am putting my bowl in a straight line towards that target. I just need enough effort to get to that target and then let the bowl break towards center. And I do that for longer, and I do that for longer, and I will understand exactly what I need to roll. Your body should react naturally. I'm putting a little more effort in, my step may increase a little bit, my follow through may be a little further, but it's minuscule. I'm not talking about short bowl and heavy bowl. I'm talking about minimum length draw. That's where my arm ends up. And maximum length draw. It's not too much, but the idea is you're going to naturally put more weight into it. Your arm is going to reach out a little bit further. Your step is going to be just a little bit further. And the speed at which you get through. Short weight control, you're going to be slower and smoother. You're throwing a lot more weight to get it from T to T. It's going to be quicker. You're going to get a quicker follow through. You're going to get a quicker motion through. And that all keeps the energy going. I suggest you go out, try these concepts, try this drill, because you can set it up to test your point of aim, and then you can use it to test your weight control. It's a very versatile drill, something that I use all the time with all of my players, and it works wonders. Once you can train your brain to understand the farther I look down, the more energy I need to put in, and the farther I'm going to roll my bowl, it becomes easier and easier to visualize your line going down and in. And as you visualize, you will not only get your point of aim, because you know where you're aiming to have it break in, but your weight, because you know where that breaking point is to get it in. We will talk a little bit more about visualization at the end of this video. So weight control comes from a good understanding of point of aim. You need to be able to roll your bowl straight out on a line towards your point of aim, and then after that have your bowl break towards center. It can be a rough concept to understand, but really, that drill that I showed you can help you fix both of your issues with point of aim and weight control. Understanding how to roll directly over those dots, do it without thinking about weight, just over the dot, over the dot, over the dot. If you can consistently hit your line every time and keep moving it, move it a little narrower, move it a little wider, and see if your body can still do it. And then obviously switch hands. You may be a little bit better at your forehand than your backhand. Draw over those dots constantly until you hit it every single time. And then you know that your delivery is solid enough that you can repeatedly get over and onto your point of aim without any issue. Once you've mastered your point of aim, now is time to start mastering weight control. Rather than trying to manipulate your body and doing some unnatural things like larger step, shorter step, bigger follow through, less follow through, bigger backswing, less backswing, use your mind to control how you get the force out. If you have a really good solid delivery, that shouldn't be changing that much. You shouldn't be artificially changing what your arm does, what your leg does. What you should be doing is just incrementally stretching it a little bit farther, going a little slower, going a little faster. And that drill can do it again. If you can learn to draw your target closer and closer to you and figure out where that breaking point is, you will then master how to do good weight control. It won't be such a guessing game. It'll be more accurate, and you'll hit your target more often and more often. If I can set my target point of aim as that breaking point, all I need to do is have enough energy to get my bowl from my hand to that point in a straight line, and then allow it to break towards center. So I want to go a shorter distance, I pick my point of aim shorter along the same line, and I allow it to get there and then break in. I want it to go longer, I extend that point of aim, maybe 2 feet, maybe 3 feet. I get enough to get it over that point, and I allow it to break in. Now obviously, a lot of things come into play with this. You've got wind, which can affect your bowl, so your point of aim may shift, and you may need a little more or less effort to get there. But up here, you should know I've got a wind blowing on me. I need a little bit more to get over that dot. I have a wind blowing the other way. I need a little less to get over that dot. As you get more advanced with your weight control, you will start to understand what wind does, what wetness does. Strange greens. In Canada, in some of the smaller countries, we have greens that don't allow you to move an inch and do the exact same thing. Sometimes it gets a little narrower, sometimes you move an inch and all of a sudden your bowl draws more than it did before. But these are all tricks and all things that you can understand and you can manage as you get better, as you start perfecting how you pick your point of aim and how you manage your weight control. Doing it artificially will only help in 1 out of 10 situations. It starts to rain heavily and you can't get your bowl up, well, maybe you rip it. But if you're playing a really tight game, you're playing very skilled players, that's not going to cut it. So remember, point of aim, weight control. Use this drill to try to master both. And this drill is very versatile. You can move your targets up, you can move your targets back, you can switch sides, you can make it narrower or wider, and you can use it for both your point of aim and your weight control. Now we have a little bonus content. Visualization. We have a video, one of our coaches' corners that deals with some visualization, but I wanted to talk about it here because I think it is a very important concept to point of aim and to weight control. When I talk visualization, some bowlers don't always know what I mean. I guarantee that you do some form of visualization before you get on the mat and when you're picking your shot, because up here you're thinking, where do I need to throw my ball to get it to center? And that's what visualization is. I will stand behind the mat, and through this video I will draw a line. I want to draw a line straight out to that yellow That's my point of aim. And I want it to break towards center. And what I need to do is, based on my visualization, I need to see that line. I need to be able to see what my bowl is going to do before I even throw it. And this will help you not only pick your line and pick your weight, but also pick your point of aim. So I know I need to get really short. So my point of aim is going to draw from that yellow line to the breaking point, which will be halfway up the green or a third of the way up the green. And I do all of this as I'm approaching the mat. I'm looking at my point, I'm drawing that line, I'm figuring out where that breaking point is because I want to roll it very, very short. And now that I have that, I step on the mat and I deliver based on that visualization. And hopefully my bowl goes along that line and towards center, approximately where I want it to go. Now, this is a great thing to try. You do the drill a bunch of times, you get really good, you figure you've mastered it. Now take everything away, put at a target, maybe a short jack, maybe a long jack, and then try visualizing that exact same drill. Here's my point, this is where it's gonna break, I need to get up to it and let it break towards center. And as you can do that mentally, your game will go from average to better to awesome. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the videos. I hope you get a lot out of this drill. If you have questions about point of aim, weight control, or anything that we talked about in this video, please put it in the comments. There's more information in the description below. And with that, may all your bowls be touchers.